Hello, this is Eric Wood. I'm with AI Appointment Booker, Electron, which is basically a framework which is used by Chrome and specifically tailored for the Chromium platform. So let's make sure that you can see around. Electron is a framework that you see here. It's for JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. If you're not familiar with these are what's called HTML5, but these are for programs that run in your browser and that are built with this. Chromium, which is the core thing that comes along with Chrome, which is the browser. And Chromium, so I learned something today, which is that it's used by Edge, Microsoft's Edge, Opera, Brave, Vivaldi, and DuckDuckGo browsers. So these little symbols here, you've got one of these for your Chrome itself. And so if you have any of those browsers, then you're going to be great with this. This will be potentially a nice tool. It's cross-platform. It runs on Linux. It runs on Windows. I'm going to be showing and demoing on Windows because that's what I've got. But it truly is a cross-platform application, and so it allows you to do most of everything on JavaScript. We'll go through this basic one here that we have on this page, their version of the Hello World, and we'll talk about things. But let's talk a little bit more about Electron. Electron currently is on version 37. They do a ton of versions every year, multiples, so about 4 a year. And they started about 2015. So now it's 2025 at the time of this video, so 10 years. So we're talking about almost 40 versions, and yes, 40. So they almost do one a season for a year. So that's just phenomenal. But obviously each of their versions has got very little changes in it or improvements. It'll just have a small fixes and improvements and enhancements. And it will tell you the breaking changes and behavior changes that you need to be aware of for your code. And they're going to start doing later versions of Node. So this is built on top of Node.js, which is a pretty common way to communicate and link things together. Tools, let's talk about that. Let's go to Fiddle. The background of Fiddle, actually, let me show you this. This is just the overall Electron. This is what they claim it is, powered by the web, cross-platform, open to all, secure, stable, extensible. It's got some native graphical user interfaces that we'll show a little later, application installers, a few other little nice to have, such as crash reporting. You use the tools that you like, you extend things into this. So they tend to be mostly web specific tools. And Forge is the toolkit. When you're really going more extensive into it, you can install it using the npm. And if you're not familiar with it, it's an install tool. Or you can just start playing with. And so I'm going to show you Fiddle and the Electron version of Fiddle. You go into this, it detects that I'm a Windows operating system, and I'm going to download. And that pulls it down to your local box. Here it is in my local box. I'm going to start it up. These are the code that's in here was blank. And so I took this little front stuff, copied the main.js. Oh, it had this main.js, this index HTML, this renderer JS, and this preload. So for the 3 that it had out of the 4 that it shows, I just left this one blank. It preloads that, which is just comments. And I copied these across, pasted them in, pasted that in, and so forth. Just kept going down. Each little piece I copied across and then popped them in and then ran. And you get this. So, hello world, you're using these version numbers of the different pieces. And you've got a really nice menu here, generalized at least. So you've got a window that you can do extend, and you've got some other function. You've got some just basic functionality, copy paste that you tend to have with any application, but it's all pre-built in. I didn't have to do any code besides this code. It's built into the browser window. So that's nice. So their browser window object has that particular code that was being displayed. So I've shown Electron. I've talked about why you might do it. And then this is going to be the UI part to your application, meaning it's the screens, it's something to look at. And you can use all the tools that you have from HTML5, which is JavaScript, HTML, and then CSS that you can code in. I used some AI to try to do my own code for these pieces. Most of it is recognized by, they'll give you something that they think is great code for Electron, but it usually sucks. And it sucks because AI overall usually does a terrible job with multiple files and keeping them all in sync. And to give you an example, I was trying to do something really simple, which is, hey, I want to have a variable that is, when did we boot? So I wanted a start stamp, a date time stamp to show up in my little screen here. And to do that, I wanted to remember it when it started up and then display it. So obviously I was wanting to change my HTML. Obviously it would need to change the main.js to come up with this variable, and then and perhaps do something in the preload. And long story short, it failed. The AI's suggestions, I've done 2 of them, and neither of them worked. AI does a terrible job because it's multiple. So vibe coding really doesn't work very well with these type things unless it really understands Electron, and it doesn't at this point. So my takeaways are, AI is going to have to improve for you to use this a little better, but but at least it's able to do stuff and suggest things, and you can learn by trying and doing. But it's you trying and doing. Well, that's it. I hope that you like this. Like and subscribe, and I hope to do some more videos as I'm trying out new technologies and seeing what is out there. Thank you for your time.